Hello, everybody. Look at that. We have a special guest on the podcast this
Moon
week.
says hi.
She looks very confused.
She really
Um,
doesn't like when I pick her up, but we had to do it.
yes, she did not look very comfortable there, Paul. But welcome back to Top Pins with Twins, everyone. So Luke, myself, and Paul are here to talk to you guys about FPL. In this episode this week, we're gonna just be going through how our teams did game week 36, and then also talking through some transfer targets, player teams to target going into game week 37, as we only have 2 weeks left. There's not much time left in FPL for this year. So Paul, over to you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Luke. As you can tell, though, we're going to take a brief interlude away from the Premier League, and we're going to look at who's back. This is my Gio Reyna kit, and
I saw he scored a goal.
guess who returned from the ashes this weekend to
Yep.
score a goal? Lassana Al-Gaib is back. He may be returning for the World Cup. One goal does not mean that he's going to win the Ballon d'Or, but who knows?
Ballon.
We'll just have to
He
see.
might. You never know. You never know.
But yeah, in a more serious note, Luke, things are going well. It's as you can tell, we'll go through our teams here in a little bit. It's a
Mhm.
really tricky time to be playing FPL. I really overall just was not happy with the last game week just because of the call and triple captains.
Mhm.
Really killed my rank in a good season for me. So really want to end with a strong 2 weeks
Yeah.
to close out that FPL season.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I think all of us are in the same boat where it's like, you know, even if we're in a place where we're chasing, having a really good last 2 weeks will make a huge difference for our overall ranks and how we do in our mini leagues, right? Because those really matter at the end of the day. That's where we've got the most blood, sweat, and tears on the line whenever we look at this. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I wish you a good luck to the rest of your season. If you want, we can go ahead and show our teams for how they fared in game week 36, um, because there was a lot going on this week and a lot of surprises that came in with double game week 36. Primarily looking at Manchester City. We see Manchester City really at the end of the day not starting their strongest 11 is what it feels like, because we had Nico O'Reilly in the double, so against Crystal Palace. Nico O'Reilly wasn't even in the squad, which is not good, being that he has a higher ownership. We had Cherokee who didn't start, and then we also had Holland who didn't start.
Yeah.
So,
Let's go to your
um,
team, Luke.
yeah, so I'll start out. I'm chasing at this point in the season, so I figured I would go a little risky with my triple captain and triple captain Ryan Cherokee. Cherokee ends up being subbed off in the 57th minute, so he missed out in the first fixture against Everton. He gets subbed out, you know, before he can get the clean sheet point and then the extra point for appearances for hitting 60 minutes. So that's 2 points I miss out on there. He blanked, of course, so that's 1 point from that first fixture. And then does not start for the second one against Crystal Palace, but thankfully ends up getting an assist. So I end up with 15 points for my triple captain. I it's one of those where whenever they announce the starting 11s, I was like, it's over. Whatever happens from here on, it doesn't matter. So when you get that Cherokee assist at the end, it kind of makes you feel better. Even though if I would have gone the week saying you get 5 points from Cherokee, I would have been very upset with that. So it's
Mhm.
funny how it's all about perspective at the end of the day, and how that resets our expectations. So
Yeah, look,
all in
maybe
all,
this is the reason why I called you as soon as the Turkey news hit about him being benched, because I
mhm.
knew sometimes in this podcast, whenever I'm talking about you know this is a game, we don't need to get too invested. It doesn't need to ruin your weekend. Sometimes I am talking to my co-host as well, not just all our
That you
listeners.
are. That you are, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
So, yep. All in all, though, my team, I made some poor benching decisions as well. I should have played Calvert-Lewin, and looking at it, should have rested Pedro Porro, put him on the bench, so I would have been 6 points higher up. And at that point, would have had a green arrow. I ended up on a very small red arrow with my triple
Mhm.
captain being played. If I would have just captained Holland, then I'd be in a very different position, right? I pretty much would have doubled my points from the triple captain.
Yep.
Yeah, a little over doubled, but it is what it is. At this point in the season, it kind
What
of
can you do?
typifies how my year's been up to this point.
Yeah.
So, surprises of the week, Star getting returned was really nice, and then Dewsbury Hall with an assist, and then Watkins gets the goal and 3 bonus. So, across the team, of course, can't fail to mention Gabriel with his 11-point haul. So, um, really happy with how the team overall did, just disappointed with my city assets in that double. So, over
Mhm.
to you, Paul. How did the double treat you?
I will say this is probably one of my more disappointing weeks of the season.
Mhm.
As you can tell, I ended up on 72 points. That that's not a bad week for me. I mean, the average is 65, but at a point where, like we've talked about on previous podcasts, I want to be pushing to get my rank as high as possible.
Right,
I feel pretty
right,
good about the mini league. I think I'm probably 100 points clear of the next closest person. So as long as there's no disasters over the next 2 weeks, I should be fine there. But really
right.
would love to finish top 25K, and my rank went from 30K to around 45K now. And
Okay.
that, like I said, that's
Mhm.
really probably due to those triple captains in Holland. That's a rank killer, even with me captaining him as well.
So, him not playing in the second fixture actually was pretty good for you, right? Even with him being your
Absolutely.
captain. Yeah.
Absolutely. You could argue that, I mean, my week probably would have been manageable if I just would have started Calvert Lewin or Hill over Matoma. Like
Yeah,
Matoma's just
I mean, you probably would have been closer. I don't know if you would have been on a green arrow, but if you have 7.7, if you end up on 79, you're close to at least a gray arrow, I would guess.
yeah, no, let me see. Let's see.
So, yeah, I do question though. So, playing Matoma over Calvert-Lewin does seem like an interesting choice. What was your decision making on that one?
I got it wrong.
Okay,
That's
fair. Okay, yeah,
I think the mentality there was a little bit of, well, Matoma, whenever he's been playing, has been in pretty decent positions, has had pretty good underlying numbers, scored a really
mhm,
good goal a couple weekends ago, and then it's just I think he's just at this point. I mean, if I would have invested in Henselwood in my wild
yeah,
card originally in game week
yeah,
32, I probably would be in those conversations of like, hey, top 25K, top 20K. Like that would have made a
mhm.
world of difference, you know?
And it really does suck too, right? That Matoma, not only does he come off in the 59th minute, but he also got a yellow card too, right?
Yeah,
So
0 point.
hands up on 0, that's a huge swing, right? If you had Henselwood's and it's Henselwood instead. So,
Yeah.
um,
And,
it did feel. Go ahead, go ahead. Yeah,
no, I was just gonna say, Luke, for context, that like based on where I'm at right now with 17 more points, I would be in the top 25K.
yeah, hmm
And
doesn't
so
surprise
just
me.
little things, because I mean, and Jai is another one. I mean, I think he's had back to back weeks where he realistically probably should have scored. And
Right?
then
Yeah.
also Eze too. I mean, Eze's had a couple moments and especially not West Ham, but shit, what game was it beforehand? I can't think right now. Where he's had shots
Um,
that have been blocked out inside the 6 yard blocks, that kind of thing. And Saka's in better form. Jokeresh didn't really have many chances, but you know, these are the margins,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, they are. And, we'll kind of get into it a little bit more, but it feels like even if you would have gone with Pascal Gross, right, over Matoma, I know Matoma's had a couple goals spread out, but Gross is just averaging a high level of points, right? Where you feel like his floor is maybe 5 points. I would say four is the floor because he usually does pretty good on DEFCON. And then he's chipping away at assist here and there and maybe an odd goal. So it's just the margins, right, where we miss out a little bit, so, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's just part of the FPL game we play, but let's
mhm,
see. Let's go over to our next slides here, Luke. So here we have our final remaining fixtures for the season. As you can tell, what stands out to you here, Luke?
I think, from the beginning, the first team to look at is Arsenal. We know they have a ton to play for, and we also know they have the best fixture run upcoming, right? Because not only we know they have the Champions League final to play, but all of that happens after the Premier League season is done and dusted. So the
Mhm,
fixture congestion is really not an overarching concern whenever we look at Arsenal. And we know that Arteta is gonna be of the mindset that they know they have to get 6 points out of these 2 fixtures. Like, that is not debatable.
mhm.
If you drop points, then you're in big trouble, right? So, um, whenever we're looking at this, I think Saka stands out as a great option.
Yeah,
Gyökeres is someone who's somewhat interesting. Um, and I think Trossard is someone to keep a very close eye on too, because he's been playing a lot better as of late. Um, on top of that, I think when we look at Arsenal, there's an important layer to consider. Do we go defense or do we go attack? Because if we look at Arsenal, they've kept across Champions League and Premier League out of their three last fixtures, they've kept 3 clean sheets.
mhm.
And all of the, 2 of the last 3 have been 1-0 victories.
Yep,
We saw a different side of Arsenal whenever they played Fulham when they won 3-0. And I think that's what has us all really excited about the attacking assets. But then, if you look at it, Arsenal scored 1 goal in 4 of their last 5 fixtures. So maybe going the route of the defense is the best option. And that Fulham match might have been more of an aberration, but they're also playing Burnley at home in game week 37. And
mhm.
that could be an absolute thumping. For one, Arsenal could say, we know need to win. We're going to start our best starting 11. And with the mindset that they're going to add an extra layer and really try to crush the goal differential in case they do drop points the next week with away to Crystal Palace. So
Absolutely.
I think Burnley could be one of those where we get 4 or 5-0 in the first half. And then it's like, how bad could this get? So if that happens, we want to have at least one Arsenal attacker regardless.
Yeah.
But
And Luke,
what do you think, Paul?
um, I think you'd be perfectly fine. I would say Raya, Gabriel are always gonna be really good picks. Maybe having both of
Mhm.
them is a good plan. And then I would probably go Gyökeres or even, Saka as the other option. I have Eze
Okay.
in my team. At this point, probably not gonna be moving out of that realm, just for lack of
Do
transfers.
you do you worry Odegaard might start over Eze?
He could. He easily could. I mean, and
Mhm.
I it may be worth it to make a move to Saka, but I don't know if I have that in the budget. I don't think I do at the moment. So we're I'll probably just stay put at the point, but I think even you could make a shout for Odegaard. I mean, he subbed on, looked really good. I don't think he's not gonna play 180 minutes the next 2 games. Like that's
Yeah.
probably not advisable.
Yeah.
So I would probably say Gyökeres is probably your best pick.
Yeah. I think Gyökeres is a very interesting pick too. Who do you think comes in at right back? Because we know I think I just saw today Timber is back in training. I don't know if it's full training.
I think he's on grass. He's kinda
Okay.
doing workout stuff,
It
from what I've
feels
seen.
like the idea is he might be back for the Champions League final, is what the hope is there.
Yeah.
So if we know that we're gonna have a cheaper right back playing, do you think Mascara is gonna be playing right back? Is that somewhere that we could potentially invest for FPL?
Possibly, which I've thought about this a lot, Luke. I don't know if you know this, but I do think about Arsenal pretty frequently in my free
Yeah,
time.
I see the memes you sent, so yeah, I
Um, but I think this weekend you'll probably see Mascara start at right back. It may diminish a little bit of what you see on the right side with Saka and Odegaard because minus Ben White, I think he's a pretty big part of that equation and his ability to play balls down that wing to Saka, be progressive,
Mhm.
make those runs that really detract from defenders. I personally, this could be crazy. If I was playing Arsenal, if I was starting my dream Arsenal 11 with what they have from this point, I would start Calafiori at right back and Hincapié at left back.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
That's
I
what
don't.
I would do that against Burnley because I think Calafiori can defend the right back position. He's good enough with both feet, and he's probably just going to vacate that space anyways. So let him get in that area of, maybe going over top Saka, going into the midfield, whatever the situation is. Bring in the chaos agents, put as many of your technical players out there as possible this weekend to get as many goals as you can.
Interesting. I think it's a good idea. I like it, but I think Arteta is naturally very risk adverse, and
Yes.
that feels a little risky to me. So
It's probably going to be
I think it's
Mascara.
interesting. Yeah, I would wager it's probably Mascara, but Calafiori is a good shout. Although I would not advise people go to Calafiori just because I'm very worried about his
Oh
injury
yeah,
history and him subbing off at halftime last week. There's a lot there that I would be very concerned about. So,
yeah.
as
That was
far as go ahead. What
to
were you
be clear.
saying?
Like that was not me saying, "Hey, I would make a transfer for Calafiori." I'm just saying that if Arsenal went to optimize for like scoring goals this
Mhm.
weekend and really running up the score on Burnley, that's an idea I would roll out there.
Yeah. Yep. No, I hear you. I hear you. So looking at these remaining fixtures, a couple other teams that pop off the page that I think are interesting. Um, I think Newcastle with West Ham at home and Fulham away, very interesting fixtures, right? Maybe potentially investable there. If I was going to invest there, I think Bruno Guimaraes would be the best person to go to. Seems like his minutes are locked in, and I think he's on penalties for them as well. So, someone to keep an eye on there. I think Everton's fixtures are intriguing as well. They still have something to play for. Also, I don't necessarily love their fixtures because of game week 38, but Brentford having Crystal Palace at home in game week 37 is a juicy fixture for FPL in my mind. Thiago's someone that I think we should consider at this
Yeah.
point. So
I
keep him
mean,
on your
Chris
radar.
did
Yeah.
not look good against City
Oh,
this past
they
week.
rotated so much, right? It's one of those where you know Brennan
Please keep
Johnson's
the
a.
rotation up.
I don't know. I think my concern is I could see Glasner saying we're gonna take this week off, and then maybe is Arsenal like training for the final for Europa Champions League at a time? Like, does he use that to tune them up and maybe start his starting 11 in the first half, and then seeing a complete different team in the second half? I don't know. But imagine we go into the final day and City go up 3-0, 2-0, and then Arsenal are tied at half 0-0 against Crystal Palace. That would be
You need to
quite.
stop.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to put you in tailspin,
No, you
but
don't vocalize those things.
I'm just saying, just like what does Glasner do in that situation? So I don't know. I'm not sure, but we'll move along. Are there any other teams I didn't mention that you think would be investable going into
Um,
this stretch?
I think looking at the teams, I mean, I think you hit all the big points there, Luke. I mean, there's at this point, really, I mean, we really do want to target those teams that you already mentioned that have a good fixture run, but also that have something to
Hmm.
play for too.
Yeah.
I've had thoughts about Bruno Guimaraes. I'm not sure if I will go that direction though, because what do Newcastle really have to play for?
More of just like respect at this point, and they
Yeah,
desperately need it. I think because
yeah. I
where
mean,
in the table they're at, they currently sit 13th in the table, but they could easily end up being 15th or like Crystal Palace. What? No, sorry, not Crystal Palace. Nottingham Forest, who've been in a relegation battle, could easily pass them this week if Forest win and Newcastle lose. So
yeah,
there's for Eddie Howe, I think he's fighting to keep his job. So, but the thing is too, if Newcastle win and Chelsea lose, they go even on points at ninth in the table. So it's just there's a very tight spread there in points in the table. So um, yeah, it's we haven't had a relegation battle that incorporated multiple teams for quite a while. I was watching an old clip from I think 2011, 2012 season where there were
Mhm.
5 teams actively competing in the relegation battle at the same time.
Yeah.
And that that makes for quite the final day. So, fortunately for a lot of fans out there, that's not happening this year. Um, but it would be fun as a neutral to watch.
So, Luke, talking about that, what is your prediction? Who do you think is going down, West Ham or Tottenham?
West Ham. Yeah, I think West Ham. If Chelsea were in good form, I would feel much more confident that West Ham would find a way to survive. But I mean, even in the situation that we're in, right, where Tottenham, let's say they draw with Chelsea, they get 1 point, and West Ham win this week against Newcastle, they're still level on points. And at that point, I mean, Spurs goal differential would probably be 8 to 9 goals.
Yeah.
So if you're hot Tottenham, you can go into the final day and you're level on points and you have goal differential to rely on, then I think you feel pretty good about it with Everton
Yeah.
at home.
I mean,
So,
there's a situation that we could have a bow on that after this next weekend where, if
yeah.
Tottenham wins
Hmm.
and West Ham do not, then
It's over.
that they're
West
relegated.
Ham are going down. Yep. Hmm.
And I
But then
will
that's
say, Luke,
bad. That's bad for us for FPL if that happens, I think.
it's not great, but I will say that that's also the same for the title race as well. If,
Yeah. Hmm.
Arsenal get 3 points in their next game and City drop points or lose points to Bournemouth, Arsenal will be declared the winners of the Premier League title. Please.
Yeah. Yep. No, without a doubt. I mean, we could have seen that happen, going into this weekend, right? Let's say the City drop points to Crystal Palace, and there ends up being what a 5 point gap, which is what it would have been. Um, it would have been over. Like
Yep.
there's no way City theoretically could have if Arsenal lost twice, but you don't see that happening, right? So, yeah, it's interesting. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, out of this, so I wanted to comment on, it's kind of to me a little bit of a shame that Wolves play Burnley at home on the final day of the season because
Yeah.
those are the two teams we really want to target. And the fact that they play each other makes it being like, do we target the two sides that got relegated the quickest out of this season? And we don't really know who to trust to score goals. So, um, if you invest in Burnley or Wolves, I think you're crazy.
You're an FPL
So,
sicko. We watch
yeah.
Ben Crellin will bring in, like, Fleming. He'll score a hat trick on the
First,
last one.
first,
You just wait.
first career Premier League hat trick. First and last, I would wager.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, unless he gets picked up by another team. But okay, so then my question to you, Paul, looking at the Premier League table, who do you think gets the Champions League spots this season? How do you think that ends up playing out?
so just to give people a rundown, as of right now, we have Liverpool in 4th at 59 points, Villa in 5th at 59 as well, Bournemouth in 6th at 55, Brighton at 53 and 7th. Um, Hypothetically, I think that if things fall out the way they are at the moment, I think that actually works out best for the Premier League because if they win the Europa League, they would actually secure that Champions League spot. And from what I believe, what my research has told me, is that apparently that next spot only drops down if they're in fifth place, which is kind of a
Yep.
weird rule there.
Hmm. Yeah.
But so ideally, I'd really like to see things stay the way they are and have Bournemouth get that last spot because it would be awesome to see them get into Champions League. So
Hmm.
projection wise, though, I think you could see a situation where if Bournemouth have a lot to play for against City, that's going to be a highly contested fixture on both ends. I could
Hmm.
see them easily taking a point. This is a team that let me pull up their schedule, but I don't think that their last loss in the Premier League was against Arsenal on January 3rd.
Wow,
So
that's
that
pretty
was
good, pretty impressive.
their
Yeah.
last loss. Everything, I mean, they've had a lot of draws in there. They haven't been perfect. They haven't won every game, but this is an extremely tough team to break down and to keep from scoring against you.
Yeah.
I would say that Brighton also, I mean, Brighton have been pushing over the past like 5, 6 weeks to get in this spot. I would love to
Mhm.
see them get in as well. I would put my money on Bournemouth, Villa, and Liverpool to lock up those last 3 spots, especially even if there is the last one, but if it just gets to the
Yeah.
2, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Villa playing Liverpool this weekend is perfect
Mhm.
for Bournemouth because if they both drop points, then on the last day, you could see a situation where both Liverpool and Villa have to win to secure that last Champions League spot if Bournemouth do win on the last day too. So we could see a ton of
And
chaos to it.
and also Villa don't win the Europa League, right? Let's say
Yeah, yeah.
Villa go and lose that final against Freiburg, then that makes a huge difference in how they're approaching, the remaining 2 well, it'll be 1 fixture at that point, right, against Man City.
Mhm.
Um, but I think you're asking a lot out of Bournemouth. I know that it's Iriola's final match at home as the Bournemouth manager, so there's a lot on the line. And Bournemouth have been really good, but we know City are going to be coming in and saying we have to win this fixture. But Pep might rotate his entire starting 11, so just keep an eye out for that.
And I
So
mean that
that's
that
always
game
fun.
that match is 3 days after the FA Cup final. So
Yeah.
who knows? I
Hmm.
mean, there's still a full game to play before that. Maybe City don't come into it with a full string squad. Bournemouth do have, I think, when was their last match? So the last match was May 9th. They have 10 days to
Hmm.
rest to prepare just to play Manchester City. So
Yeah.
I'm Ariola's cooking up some shit for Pep. So
Yeah, I mean, that's 10 days rest, right, for them, so
true.
that'll make a big difference in the legs, especially because City have played, they played yesterday, yeah, yesterday, and then they're playing the weekend, so that's 2 matches in the span that Bournemouth are playing 0. That'll
Yeah.
make a big
And I
difference in
mean,
the legs.
look, this is the same thing that happened to Arsenal as well, where Bournemouth played Manchester United on March 20th. Their next match
Mhm.
was April 11th against Arsenal. So they had almost like
Wow.
two and a
Jeez.
half, almost 3 weeks to prepare for that match. So
Yeah.
I think we could see the same kind of thing where, I mean, obviously City are going to be preparing for this, but with those fresh legs, it could be a major issue, especially with this Bournemouth team that's so tricky to play, especially at home.
Yeah, they're really difficult, and like you said, they do not concede goals, so that makes it really difficult to compete against them. The other team that we did mention there was Brighton, right? Brighton have Leeds away, then they have Manchester United at home. The important thing about that for Brighton, right, is they're 2 points in the table behind Bournemouth, and should, as of now, right, they have the Conference League spot for next season, which would be huge for them, right? The important thing to note there is the 2 teams they are playing are on the beach at this point, right?
Yeah.
Leeds have nothing left to play for. They have secured their stay in the Premier League for next season. But we saw that against Spurs, and Leeds came out were really difficult to play against, equalized, and probably should have won, right? If it wasn't for some great Kinski saves that kept Spurs the 1 point. So
Mhm.
what we need to keep an eye on there is with Brighton playing Leeds and Manchester United, I would expect them to get 6 points out of the remaining 2 fixtures they have because they know they need to make sure they secure the European spot that they have currently. So, I think Brighton assets are very interesting to have at this point in time. It looks like Henselwood might be a really good option right now. He's scoring goals. And once he scores a goal, he's showing that he can be in the BPS system where he does really well too. So,
Yeah.
um, keep an eye on those Brighton assets. I think they might go under the radar a little bit. If you have a Brighton asset, I would not sell this week. But if you have Matoma like Paul does, who is potentially injured, I would probably get rid of him.
Who
Um,
who's Paul? Who are you talking about? Who
the
is
guy in the
this?
Dortmund kit,
I'm not wearing a Dortmund kit.
Gio Reyna, I'm talking to you. So yeah, I think Brighton are very interesting picks. But what we can do now is let's go into a little captaincy discussion. Because I think there are a few standout picks that could be really good for us to consider this week. And that's because of the fixtures and how how teams that they're playing really don't have much to play for. So Paul, I'll let you take the first one. Tell the listeners why you think Saka is a great captaincy pick for Burnley at home.
So, like, this is somebody that obviously Saka had a. I would classify it as a major issue that I think has kind of bled into this season, where he
Hmm.
hasn't had that burst. He hasn't had that ability to really eliminate defenders with the ball at
Yeah.
his feet, which is kind of where he created a lot of things that he was like historically doing. And so halfway through the season, whenever they went to international duty, probably I think maybe like a month and a half, 2 months ago, he was left out for injury concerns. And there was this huge pushback of people that are like, I can't believe Arsenal are doing this, blah, blah, blah. He didn't play for three or four matches after that. Turns out that when you give players rest and let their body recuperate, that's what they need. Crazy thought there, right?
Hmm.
So
Yep.
I would say that Saka is back to the best of what we've seen him at Arsenal over the past 3 matches, right? Against Fulham, goal and an assist. Against Athletic, goal. Last time against West Ham, he let's see, no returns there, but clean sheet point. We'll point that out. Let's
Hmm.
look at his stats though for this match. Yeah, so XGA or XA expected assist 0.25, still creating chances. And this is against a team West Ham that we're pushing extremely hard. He was subbed out in the 80th minute. I think that he created the most chances in that match, three chances against Burnley. Who knows what that score can be? Arsenal will be pushing in the off chance, maybe if they tie against
Hmm.
Crystal Palace, they really need a push for goal differential. And I think for a long time now, if you listen to discourse around Arsenal fans, it's like in this title race, who knows what's going to happen? There's been so many
Right.
fluctuations, so many ups and downs. You need to do your work early. You go out there. It's not personal with Burnley. Sorry, JJ Watt, but drop 10 on their head. Like
Yep.
put in as
Hmm.
many goals as you can. You don't want to go to that last day and have the situation where City are winning the league on goal differential because as of right now, City are +1 on that in that category. So I
Yep.
think you could really see Arsenal pushing, and if they score a lot of goals, I would say Saka is going to be heavily involved with a lot of them.
Yeah, and you even I think another note to consider, right? Against West Ham, Arsenal were pushing for a long stretch of that match, right? They're like, we have to find this next goal. And, you know, Saka played 80 minutes, right? Let me see. When was the goal scored by Trossard? That was
83.
in the 83rd minute. So I I think 80 minutes was maxing out, right? I don't think at that point in time, I don't know if we see 90 minutes out of him this week, but a 60 to 70-minute cameo against Burnley at home, that could still be 2 goals and an assist. It could be 3 goals, hat trick, whatever you want to say. The other question I have for you, real quick, before we move on to Thiago, Paul, who do you think is on pens for Arsenal? Do you think it would be Saka? Do you think it'd be Gyökeres? Who do you think steps up to the penalty spot if they have one against Burnley?
So we've had a couple different instances this season, especially in the beginning, where Saka's handed off some penalties to Gyökeres to kind of,
Hmm.
let him settle in, let him, he's the striker, give him a chance to finish the penalties. I would personally say that looking at, some of the penalties Gyökeres has taken this year, I would assume that he's going to get the ball. And I know that these are big pressure moments that Saka probably wants to step up.
Hmm.
Gyökeres has what was it? I think it was in the Champions League, right? Let's
Yeah.
see.
Hmm.
What was it? No, it wasn't that game. Yeah, so the first leg against, Atleti away, Gyökeres hammered that pin, and that's what he does. He has been clinical all season,
He
finishing penalties.
fires those in there. Yeah.
So I think you're taking a risk if you're expecting Saka to be on pins, but I don't think he has to be for him to have a really good week for captaincy.
Yep. Yep. No, I will second that as well. Um, yeah, Saka, excellent pick for captain, I think. You are rolling the dice a little bit with him. I'm currently at about 12% ownership. Sorry, I had to zoom in there a little bit to see that. But yeah, I think he's a really, really good pick, someone to keep on our radar going forward. So if you don't have him, he's good transfer in, and you can easily consider him for a captaincy, right? If you're going to go there. The next player we have listed here is none other than Igor Thiago. Thiago is the striker at Brentford. He has 22 league goals across the season right now. The only problem with Thiago is his returns have been very patchy as of late. So I'll read
Mhm.
you the last like six or so of his Premier League fixtures. It goes 0 goals, 1 goal, 0, 0, 2, 1, 0, 1, 2. Right. So it's very spread out. If you can hit it right, it's a really good person to have because I think once that first goal goes in, he's very likely to get another and Brentford play through him, right? The entirety of what they're trying to do is create chances for him. Or if Watara's out there, he's trying to draw pens for him,
Yep.
right? So, and with Crystal Palace at home, we could very easily see some rotation with the gap that's going to be coming for whenever they do have the Europa League conference final. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Crystal Palace rotate this weekend, and that means Brentford have a good opportunity to score a couple goals at home. It'll be their last fixture at home for the season as well, so I think there's a lot of extra motivation there to give the fans a good send off for from a really good season for Brentford. You know, this will be their highest league finish if they can continue to get two good results at the end of the year here. So,
Yeah.
um, and here's the thing: I would expect, you know, the thing about this Palace, like I mentioned, they just don't have a lot to play for at this point.
No.
And we've seen over the course of the season, if you're going to go with a Brentford asset, Thiago is going to be your safest bet, right?
Uh,
Because he's on pens, chances are directed at him, and he's overall just going to be the safest pick. So I think Thiago, if you have him in your team, he's a very interesting captain shout for this week. And then I'd probably advise to move on to someone else for the final game week as we go into it. But and then we finally have Bruno Fernandes for the last captaincy shout for game week 37. Paul, do you have any thoughts on Bruno as a captain for this week?
yeah, I think I the returns have slowed down a little bit compared to like that really, really intense purple patch he had whenever Carrick first came over to United. They've
Yep.
slowed down a little bit. I still think, I mean, if we look at him and his returns, I mean, over the last 2 weeks, he hasn't returned from like a assist or goal perspective. But before that, we had assist, three straight games of assists. And then going back into March, a goal, two assists, goal, and assist. Like he can find that form any given match. So I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think he's in his peak performance of the season. And what you said earlier, Luke, United really don't have much to play for right now. They should easily qualify for Champions League. Let me see. Actually, statistically, they may already have done that, right?
Yep. No, they're locked in the Champions League at this point.
Yeah, yeah, they're
There's no
fully
question.
in.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, you probably would say that, I would say that both those other 2 options, Saka and Thiago, I'd probably captain before Bruno, or
Yeah.
maybe somebody that has a little more to play for. But like I said, I mean, he's on penalties. When's the last time United drew a pen? Like, that happens, your game week changes, he gets an assist from a corner, you're looking great, and you're setting yourself up massively to have a really good last week of the season to keep continuing your rank or shoot up through your mini league
Yeah.
there.
hmm
Yeah,
I completely agree. And then the other important note too is that they're playing Forest at home, who have nothing left to play for at this point
yeah.
because they are safe as well.
Mhm.
And it's been a long season for Forest. I think they'll be very happy to be staying in the Premier League for next season. And I would expect we see Gibbs White going elsewhere next year too. So
I mean, he
I
just signed
think
a new contract last summer, so
he did, but that's a great time to cash in on a player too, right? Because you know, you've got good bidding power because you have a long contractual term that a team knows they're going to be getting them for a long time. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him going elsewhere, but we'll see what happens. Maybe he becomes the man for Forster the next couple of years, which he is their man right now, right? There's no doubt about that. But it's just a question if he stays long term. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but I think that is probably going to bring us to a close for this week. What are your final thoughts for the listeners out there, Paul?
I'm just doing all the witch magic. I'm burning sage in my apartment, throwing cinnamon across the doorstep, everything I can to get Arsenal across the line here. So, I know this is an FPL forward podcast, but it's it's crazy. It's crazy right now. But from an FPL perspective, I think just trying to really solidify, a really good season, close the door on it, and just try to get as high of a rank gain as possible, and just make practical but well thought out decisions the rest of the way.
Yeah, I will say on the pod, Paul, you have had a great season this year. It's been really impressive to see how high you've been able to climb. And I think it's a testament to you. You're one of those managers who really prioritizes the eye test, right? And also kind of
Absolutely.
trusting your gut. So I think you've been doing a great job of merging those two together to make the best possible decisions using your process, right? So,
Absolutely.
huge. You deserve your flowers for this season. So,
It's not over yet.
congratulations
It's
to
not
you,
over yet.
and I hope you finish in the top 20K, right? Because that
That'd be
that would
awesome.
be an awesome finish. So, I wish you the best of luck. We'll see if I end up in the top million or not. Who knows with some of the picks that I'm going to go with into the final game week
Uh-oh.
here, final game weeks, I should say.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I'm okay with the season, right? It's been one of those where there've been some tough points. There've been some good calls as well, but pretty much ready for the season to be over at this point, unfortunately, just
Yeah.
with how everything's gone. I've had a lot of 50-50 decisions that did not go my way so much, and that makes it difficult at times. So, yeah, but I think that will probably do it for this week. And
Mhm.
thank you all for joining. As we should have said at the beginning of the pod, if you like this
You're so
episode, be sure to
banter.
subscribe, and leave us a comment to let us know what you thought of this podcast.
Yeah.
Paul, it's been a lot of fun, and we will
Mhm.
be back with you all next week to wrap up Game Week 37 and talk about our last week of FPL in Game Week 38. So thanks, everyone.
Wow, dude. It's wild. Thanks, everybody. We'll
Yep.
see you soon.
Bye.